Hello, everybody. I'm the Shark Daymond John, and today we're talking business. Welcome, everybody. My name is Daymond John, and I'm here today speaking to Dr. Hayling-Williams of Community Wellness Venture. And this is an amazing program and amazing business overall. I'm going to let her expand a little bit on what she does and who she does it for. But, I've always understood that the reason for a lot of the challenges that people have for their health and their wellness, their mental stability is something that has to do with poverty. And it is, she can give me and all of you probably a PhD on this. I'm going to have her expand on why she developed Community Wellness Ventures, what it does, and any other information she can give us. So thank you so much, Dr. Charlayne, for being here with me and us. So what's going on? Please tell us about Community Wellness Ventures.
Sure. Thank you, Daymond. It's a pleasure. I'll start by saying I have always been an innovator, always been a creative. I've always been an advocate for racial equity and justice. And I've never wanted to be a traditional psychologist in the narrow definition of the word, really. So after years in policy and consultation, the gaping holes that exist in our communities around access and quality could no longer really be ignored. I was attempting to implement policies and programs to address certain areas, and it became apparently clear pretty quickly that a holistic approach was required. What was also clear, though, were the multiple opportunities in business to really both have an impact, but also generate some significant revenue that could also aid in my community. So we started Community Wellness Ventures. And our goal is to really be the premier provider of comprehensive human services. That's from soup to nuts, housing to healthcare. And we're really excited about what lies ahead for us.
Well, that's great. So that is taking on a big job. And it's not like this is new to you. I think you've been doing it since 2015. And now, I don't care what community you come from, we've all over the last year have had to deal with, asking ourselves our why, understanding that life is so short and so precious, and really having to reevaluate what are we doing today, who are we doing it with, and why are we doing it, or why should we do it, or why aren't we doing certain things. So I think every person watching right now can relate to what you're doing and the need, right? So I want to ask you, what are your biggest challenges right now?
And I often say we all need that checkup from the neck up, but especially those of us who don't have access to resources and who happen to live in poverty with limited access to material wealth for sure. In terms of our biggest challenge, however, I'd have to say that getting people to understand that doing social good is good business is our biggest challenge. Yes, I have a PhD, which means I generate new ideas, execute them well, evaluate them, and all of that. But I'm also an entrepreneur. This is a business with a bottom line. CWV is a purpose-driven enterprise, no different than, say, a Patagonia in that way, right? We require what all businesses require. We require investors and capital, new geographical markets, new opportunities, partners. And so oftentimes it becomes a little bit challenging because it can sort of be conflated as nonprofit, volunteerism, something that's not necessarily directly aligned with business. When we talk about housing, we talk about acquiring real estate, developing affordable housing units, building a real one-stop shop, so to speak, with all of the supportive services in-house, where this model can be scaled around the country in some of the highest needs communities where Black folks have categorically the poorest outcomes, but the highest levels of resilience. And there's such a huge opportunity in business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. A lot of people, and I'm glad that you're saying this, because what you're doing is there's two ways to operate business, right? There's reduce costs or increase sales. Now, you are doing the both at the same time. You're bringing access to things that are out in the market to people that need it. And so there is obviously, the aspect of, making a profit there. But you're also making a profit in society. And I'll tell you how. You're reducing costs, because if an average jail cell is $80,000 a year that a taxpayer is paying for, so to reduce, the people that are going from being criminals into being incarcerated, well, you're reducing millions of dollars in each community of taxpayers' money that could be spent someplace else, because now you're paying for a couple of people that are going to, guide them in the right direction. Not only are those individuals not going to be incarcerated, and each individual is going to cost us, the taxpayer, $80,000, but those individuals are going to be taxpayers. They're going to be mentors in the community. They're going to be people that can work in the community and make it better. So there is so many different ways that there's opportunity all around.
You get it, which is so great to, I'm not surprised, but it's always great to encounter other people in business, especially people with your level of success who really get it. What advice do you have around a business like Community Wellness Ventures being best positioned to partner with investors, philanthropists who are looking to do work around social impact, folks who are really committed to similar causes? Because in our doing, at times it's challenging to also focus in that way on our growth, which is really what's going to be required to take this thing to scale.
So what you're doing in your area, in your market, is excellent, because you want to over provide for a very small group of people, because you want to show how this can be replicated, as we're talking, and duplicated. You want to come up with all the systems first, just like a franchise, right? A franchise will come up with all the right systems, the secret sauce, how much, even when you get some of these franchises, you get them in a box, literally, like some of these companies like Papa John's or whatever, they come in a box, everything's in there, and they're even in the register, there's like $72.23. Everything is a system, right? Because you want to be able to duplicate the system without you being there. Next thing is that you want to be able to have ambassadors and people that are cheering you on, and you don't want to take on the responsibility of having to advertise and market all yourself. So what do we call that? We call that user-generated content. You want all the people who are the end user to be able to find a way to get out there and yell and shout your name. And then last but not least, for investors, and an investor could be somebody who is coming to the program. Investors could be a hospital, a municipality, a physical investor who is going to want to have a strategic relationship. Once you create those two things, you want to give people, what the kids will say today, FOMO. You're missing out. And I tend to always go to people who are not number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in the market. I go to number 20 who wants to be number 1. So when I started shopping FUBU, I didn't go to Nike. I didn't go to Tommy Hilfiger or Ralph Lauren. I went to people you had no idea about, but yet they still had the same pipes of distribution. They still had the same funding. They still had the same access. So you got to find the way to do these 3 things. Get what we call proof of concept and show how to maximize this and know who your customer is, so you can replicate it globally. On the other stage is get the advertising, the user-generated content, because the easiest thing to sell in life is the truth, and you are over-delivering on the truth. And then find the strategic partners who are either going to feel like they're taking advantage of you, and you be like, no, I'm taking advantage of you, and you guys, men and women, work it out. Or somebody who's saying, I better hop on, or I'm going to miss out on something. And the more you can put that in a little package, so that when you give it to me or give it to anybody else, we can easily articulate and say, do you know what Dr. Charlayne and Community Wellness Ventures do? They do this, this, this. And this is the outcome. because I'm sure that you are also working strategically with people. There's a lot of times when, we call it in our world collaboration, but you can borrow audiences that don't necessarily compete with yours. If you're going to deal and look for capital, well, there are places that people are emotionally attached to where they want to be part of making change.
I appreciate that. And we will continue to be sure that our packaging is very clear. It really is simple. It's like equity matters. We can pretty much all agree upon that. And so does the bottom line. CWV sits right in the middle between sort of passion and purpose and equity and opportunity. We know how many folks live in poverty. We know how systemic oppression has affected our society. And it's, Daymond, you'd be surprised when we track the inputs, so to speak. The profiles are so similar. So you see the places that you need to intervene. Employment, housing, access to financial resources are almost always there, and trauma, grief, loss, stress, and anxiety are almost always there. So we balance that duality quite well in really targeted, systematic ways. But as you said, putting it in bite-sized pieces so that folks really understand those points of entry are around real estate investment. They are around program expansion on any of those topical areas that people are really passionate about. We're passionate about all of them. But that large scale change that we're promoting will take capital, and we've got to continue to position and focus explicitly on the business aspect. And that is my express goal as the leader of Community Wellness Ventures.
There's so many great things that I respect and admire from you and from this conversation. I think there's no better time than now. And I think everybody can relate to what you are talking about now. Mm-hmm. I think you're doing God's work. Well, Dr. Charlayne, thank you so much for what you're doing. And I think that I want to acknowledge that you're doing something else. Not only are you changing people's lives, but you are also showing people that it is profitable to help people. So there's a double bottom line. I used to always say that you have to make it and then master it, and then you can matter, but you're doing that all at the same time. You're making it, mastering it, and matter. Make sure you keep going out there and showing people that there is a way to profit off of helping people so they have the bottom line, and keep making change out there. Know your customer, and I can't wait to see all the other amazing things that you're going to accomplish. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure.